Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So we have great news out of the Silver State, the state of Nevada, and Republicans have accomplished something there they have not accomplished in decades, and that is they've officially overtaken the Democrats in terms of party registration. And it's honestly surreal because a lot of people saw Nevada as a state where Republicans were, losing ground in the, late 2000s, early 2010s. A lot of people thought it would go the way of like a Colorado, but instead it has boomeranged back in the Republicans' direction for various reasons, which we'll get to in this video. And not only did Donald Trump win the state, he won it by more than most people expected, being the first Republican since 2004 to win the state, but also the registration data. Republicans still did have a slight disadvantage, but they were closing the gap. And as they closed the gap since 2020, and even before that, Republicans were making some gains in the state. And now it seems like instead of working at a disadvantage in Nevada, they're actually working from a point of being in the advantage, which is going to make it a hell of a lot easier to win the state, just like we've seen in places like Florida, just like we've seen in plenty of states across the country, and it seems like there is no signs of this slowing down anywhere, which is great signs for the GOP moving forward. So we'll dive into this, but really quickly, it is the official last day that the merch store is going to be up. Well, technically, tomorrow will be the last day, but the inauguration sale, it does continue. And if you guys want to check out the merch store, I'd encourage you guys to do it now before the store goes away. We have all these epic coffee mugs, t-shirts, hoodies, you name it. We have the epic, iconic Trump mug with the bullet American flag design, the inspirational quote. We have the Unburdened by What Has Been mug, which has the election map on it from 2024. We have all these designs in t-shirts, coffee mugs, you name it. We've got all these great products and more at shop.redeaglepolitics.com. The link is in the description and pinned comment down below. And for the next day and a half, you can save 15% off using code NEWPRES. So make sure you guys do that. But this is absolutely huge because Nevada is a state that Democrats always banked on winning, at least for the past 20 years or so. The tides have turned. The mood has shifted. And this is a state that's had, a large Hispanic population. It's a state that's had a lot of migration from California and a big urban population and a big young population. These are things that typically you would think would make a state more blue, would make a state more Democrat. But we've seen the opposite thing happen. It's a strange phenomenon, but it's true. And there's a lot of nuance to it. You can look at Nevada. Donald Trump, he won the state. He didn't flip any counties, but he did better in Clark County. He did better pretty much everywhere. He had some dead cat bounces in some of these rural counties, but then in places like, Reno, he improved a little bit in Reno, not a ridiculous amount, but that was like a few thousand votes there. But the main culprit for Trump's success in Nevada was Clark County. He went from losing the county by 9 to losing the county by, close to 2 points. And Kamala Harris still won the county, but she won it by the skin of her teeth. And I've said for a while, Clark is like in this Miami-Dade arc of sorts. It's a little bit behind. That's true. But you have to think of Nevada. Big service economy. Trump with the whole no tax on tips thing is huge. Now, he's really looking to deliver on that policy when he's in office. And if he's able to do that, then the voters will likely reward him for, sticking to his word. And the culinary union workers, maybe not the unions themselves, but the workers are not exactly as pro-Democrat as they used to be. You'll have a very large working class population. There's not a lot of professional class whites that live in Nevada. A lot of the whites that live there are working class, and you have a lot of Hispanic working class and even Asian working class voters that live in the Vegas metro. And even though some of those groups still don't vote Republican, they are moving to the right. And when you have a state that is very, very close and you're having more conservatives actually move from California, which is another thing that a lot of people, it's a misconception. This is a recipe for a state that is moving to the right, and possibly a state where Republicans are going to struggle to lose. And it's also a younger state, and a lot of younger voters are moving to the right. They're fed up with the woke nonsense, especially young men of all ethnic groups, basically. And that's also why I think you're seeing shifts in Arizona. And there's a heated gubernatorial primary that's going to be coming up there, and I don't know if we're going to do a video on that anytime soon. I have one on the website at redeaglepolitics.com for exclusive paying members if you guys want to check it out. The link is in the description and pinned comment down below as well, talking about the incoming drama that we'll see there in the Arizona GOP. But regardless, you have Clark County in Nevada. This is where the magic is really happening, because this is where most of the state's population is. The rural areas of Nevada vote overwhelmingly Republican. We know that. And on top of it, you have Reno, which is kind of more 50-50. It's not really as swingy. Trump improved a little bit there, but it's not a super Republican area overall. But the future of the state lies in the Vegas metro, which is basically Clark County. And you're seeing this, you could look at the precinct map, because it kind of breaks it down a little bit better when you have a big county. You can see which areas vote red and which areas vote blue. Technically, you have some of the more like exurban areas like Henderson and some of the northern parts voting more Republican, whereas Vegas itself and North Las Vegas, they still vote Democrat. But if you look at the change from 2020, this is just a sea of red. This is how much that some of these areas have moved right by. And then you look in some of these precincts, like 17% here, 17, 15% here, even downtown Las Vegas moving to the right, 25, 7.8, 11. Like, this all adds up, and there's not really very many places that are moving to the left in the metro. And it's a recipe for success. Even these blue areas are still getting less blue, which means that Republicans are doing better and better, and they likely will have another chance to sweep the board in the statewide offices in 2026. It's not a red state yet, technically, because you have a very, Democrat-favorable district gerrymander map for both the state house, state senate, and U.S. House, but it's also a dummy mander, because some of these places that are blue are getting very red very quickly, or less blue, and if they're connected to red areas, the districts themselves are possibly on the verge of flipping, even in a midterm year where Donald Trump is in the White House. So already you're seeing Nevada itself become a redder state. You're probably going to see more cleansing of the voter rolls, because we did see that a lot before the election, and that definitely helped Donald Trump out a lot. And this state that a lot of people thought, oh, it's a Democrat state, it's the white whale for Republicans. I said, yeah, probably this is the year that it would flip at the presidential level, and it was. And honestly, from what we'll see in the future, I think 2028, it's going to be even redder. I think the Senate seats, both of them will be flipping by 2030, and that's going to pad the incoming Republican, perma majority in the Senate, if that is able to come into fruition, just based off of what we're seeing here. But officially, the numbers are right here, 617 to 616. It's a small lead, but the independents typically have always leaned a little bit to the right in the state. And the more registrations we see on the Republican side, you're going to see that number go up and up if the trajectory continues. And it's going to be a state that you basically saw was voting. I mean, it voted for, I believe, Biden by like 60,000 votes. And then it voted for Trump by 46,000 votes, more than I think a lot of people anticipated. And it's a state that probably in the future could be voting Republican by like 100,000 votes or more. And if they really reach that point in the registrations, it doesn't really seem like the state is going to be voting Democrat at all in the future. And these registrations matter. You saw the dam break in Florida. You saw it break in Arizona. You saw it break in North Carolina. People can ignore it up to a certain point. Pennsylvania is another state. And Republicans in all of those states keep on closing the gap. And it really does matter. It's not a one-to-one correlation. People will say registration's not everything, and it's not, but it's not nothing. You look at 2020, Republicans were 90,000 basically voters in the Delta. And as a result, you saw Biden take the state. And then come 2024, they made up 80,000 voters, basically, and you saw the state move to the right by roughly around that margin, a little bit more than that, of course. And then 2022 is a little bit of a mixed bag. You also have lower turnout overall in midterm years. So it can kind of make things a little bit harder to analyze for sure. And we have to be careful about that going into 2026. Although I do believe that Republicans, the incumbents at least, like Lombardo, he's going to hold on just fine, probably by a decent margin, even if he runs against a strong candidate, just because he's a popular incumbent governor. And that's typically what happens to popular incumbent governors. So across the board, in the state of Nevada, big things are happening. Donald Trump is changing the Republican Party. He has expanded the coalition. He's making them competitive. You know, it's funny because Las Vegas, you always have the Trump Tower. It's one of the more visible buildings in the skyline, but still the state never actually voted for Trump until this time around. And it does seem as if third time was the charm, but not only was third time the charm for Donald Trump in the state of Nevada, but it also seems as if the state is going to stay in the Republican column for quite some time, which is great news because it definitely pads the Republican totals in a state that they thought was long gone. And you combine Nevada and Arizona, there are concerns about Georgia because some of the growth in Atlanta, but even if you lose Georgia, you can replace Georgia with the combination of Arizona and Nevada. You actually gain net electoral votes from that too. So it's a really good state for Republicans to have. You know, 6 electoral votes doesn't sound like a lot, but it definitely adds up. So this is great news that they finally achieved this milestone they haven't achieved in a very, very long time. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.